Women and girls living with disability in Nigeria have called on government to do more in ensuring that victims of sexual and gender-based violence in their community can access justice whenever they suffer abuse. This was during a training for women from the 6 area councils of the federal capital to be able to stand for their rights and effectively speak against gender and sexual-based violence as part of activities marking the 16 days of activism. Again, Amadin Uyi has more.
According to available data, Nigeria's disability community is about 13% of the nation's population, approximating almost 30 million persons. Many of them, especially women and girls, suffer from gender and sexual-based violence. However, they cannot access justice because they lack the ability to express themselves, to effectively report the cases to aid investigation, or lack the capacity to stop perpetrators from taking advantage of them.
We experience violence more because of the intersectionality between disability and gender-based violence. Disability puts you at risk, makes you more vulnerable because some of the perpetrators are family members, some are intimate partners, some are also even your caregivers as a person with disabilities.
As part of activities marking the 16 days of activism against gender and sexual-based violence, experts here are training women from the disability community from the 6 area councils of the federal capital to be able to stand for their rights and effectively speak against gender and sexual-based violence.
We are training women at the grassroots to be able to have a proper understanding of the Disability Act, which protects them as persons with disability, and also to have a proper knowledge of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, which is, of course, a document that should protect them against any form of violence, even at the grassroots level.
Being here has changed me from who I was not, because I didn't know the effect of the gender-based violence, because I thought everybody can play with you the way they want in their own will, but which is not so.
I learned so many things. I learned how to get my rights. If person do me something, I know how to say about what he's doing to me, because I know my rights now. I know my rights.
They say government must do more in protecting women and girls living with disability, highlighting several areas needing support to help victims get justice as one of their key priorities.
When survivors come to make reports or anything, they are able to be captured. When you just capture male and female, they don't know if they are persons with disabilities or not. So it's important that we have disability disaggregated data. It's important that we have shelters that are accessible for persons with disability. It's important that survivors also get justice, because when justice is served, survivors have closure.
Amadin Uyi, reporting for News Central.
Thank you, Amadin, for that report. Now, joining me on the news to discuss further on this is the gender rights advocate, Ene Ede. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining me on the news, Ene.
We are so grateful that you are amplifying these issues for appropriate response. Thank you so much.
All right, so now, according to the UN, persons living with disabilities have a 1.5 times greater risk of gender-based violence than those living without disabilities. Now, taking a look at the root cause of all of this, what are the barriers that exist in ensuring equal access to justice for those living with disabilities who have experienced gender-based violence or any similar form of victimization?
You know, a major barrier that exists, that is persisting, and we are pleading and asking and demanding that we deal with sufficiently, is that of the human behavior. That is, they've always said that, persons with disability will say that the attitude of human beings towards them, all stakeholders, is more disabling than even the environment. The attitude, the way they respond to them, even you, a woman with disability, you are bringing the care we should provide for them to encourage them to report is not there. The second barrier is the access. When we say the access, all the structures that is supposed to be responding to them having justice, we are not able to get it. All the shelters are not disability friendly or aware or sensible, in the sense that a woman with disability or a child with disability cannot access those places like even a man with disability. A man with disability can jump certain barriers, can overcome certain barriers. But for women, for example, the bed space, if the bed space is not such that is disability sensible, that a person with disability can access the bed or access the place to even go to hear their complaint, it becomes a problem. The sexual assault referral center, what they call SAC, where we have only one in the FCT, they cannot access it properly. And the structure one, entering to the place to be able to be examined, which is a major evidence that you take to court. The access is not there. And for them to travel, I call it traveling, all the way from here to Buhari before they can be examined is problematic. That's why we're asking, let there be at least 12 sexual assault referral centers. Let there be bed spaces, specific places that can be made for women with disability. We are not isolating them. Or if you are putting everybody together.
And I'm still talking about the access you're talking about and the structures put in place to help, especially women with disabilities. You did say that, men with disabilities are even able to, climb those barriers or those hurdles as compared to the women. Now, we know that globally, 18% of the female population has a disability. So how does the justice system adequately address the unique needs and challenges faced with women with disabilities who are victims of GBV?
This is a challenge we are facing. We talked about, I remember Hawa Shekarau with funding from Ford Foundation and ROLAC was pushing very hard to have designated courts as well as designated judges. Despite all this, they have not been able to be trained. Most of them is this welfarist attitude that they have towards the women with disabilities. When they are approaching, the compassion will overcome them, overwhelm them, that rather than showing empathy, to listen to them, that empathy, that sometimes anger will overwhelm the whole thing. So the process, the court system too, is not disability friendly. Accessing the courtrooms, because it's not done on the street or around the market square. So that's why we're also advocating that you have to construct a special place that will be inclusive, so that women with disabilities will be able to comfortably go there to present their case, accompanied properly by knowledgeable people. And we also advocate that you must have people who understand trauma. Somebody like James Iwowari, who is an energy therapy specialist, that will accompany them and give them, while they are there within the process of the court going on, they may need at some point to pause to be able to give them some therapy before they continue. So if the court, the system understand that and receive training, it will be easier. But we have not seen any training done in this area. So if the training has not been done, it's not very easy for them to access even the designated courts or the designated judges that will handle this case. Training is key, and a better understanding instead of fear and also anger. Empathy will help. Knowledge, empathy will help.
I really want to hear your thoughts on this particular issue that's actually part of the gender-based violence that even the courts find difficult to even attend to, not just for people with disabilities. And I'm talking about intimate partner violence, right? So it's said that women with disabilities, are 2 to 4 times more likely to experience intimate partner violence. Now, can you tell us what measures can be implemented to prevent re-victimization or even further harm to these disabled individuals in their matrimonial homes within the justice system?
One thing we must do is just that we cannot legislate against behavior. Patriarchy and patriarchal institutions, even patriarchal queens, right? the male domination, male leadership, and the biases that come with it does not free the mind of most of those people to be able to listen objectively. Imagine a judge or a court registrar or somebody who is involved in processing the case. If the person is a perpetrator or is an abuser, if he has been even a serial offender, it will be very difficult for the person to free his or her mind to be able to objectively deal with this case. So that's why we are increasingly advocating that stereotypes be broken down, patriarchal structures be broken down, biases, so that the judges, those who are handling this sensitive matter, will do so objectively. And that's why they too will free themselves from being offenders, even if it is for the sake of delivering this service that is humanity, is humane, is godly.
All right, and well, sadly, we'd actually have to wrap up this conversation here. Quite an interesting conversation we're having. I wish we could actually speak more on this, but thank you so much for your expert's opinion on this very, very sensitive issue.
We clap for you. We are grateful.
Thank you very much, Ma.